We are not formally educated in any of the topics we will be discussing in this podcast. Neither are we claiming to be experts by any means. These are our opinions, and none of it is intended to be taken factually. I would also like to state that this podcast contains strong language and humor that might offend. Listener discretion is advised. In this podcast, we dive into the hidden mysteries of everyday life, those strange, quirky, and sometimes baffling questions that most people don't even think to ask. From the unexplained phenomenon right under your nose to the odd facts buried in the back of your mind, we're here to explore the curious corners of the world around us. Whether it's religion, spirituality, or science, they all have something to say about who we are, where we came from, and the powers of the universe. The truth has to be somewhere in between. Welcome to the Riddles of Reality.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Riddles of Reality podcast. I'm Sarah,
And I'm Jaden.
and today we are going to talk about.
The Easter Island heads.
So, if you guys remember, last episode we talked about the new 7 wonders of the world. Jaden and I were very confused and actually quite upset because for some reason the Easter Island heads were never on there.
We were also kind of upset that they just did a survey to determine the
Right.
7 wonders of the world. That was pretty ironic to us. Before we get into this, I just want to ask everybody. Every time me and Sarah have been saying like the Easter Island heads to each other, we keep saying Easter egg. Does anybody else do that? Because we did this last time we were recording. We were saying Easter egg island. And Sarah brought up that it's a Mandela effect and that it was Easter egg.
Whenever I was looking stuff up on Google, like when we were getting ready to do this, I put in Easter egg and then it just came up as like Easter Island, but then there were other queries in there, Easter egg island. So I think it's
Both?
yeah, I don't know. I think it's a Mandela shit. I think we're getting got.
I feel like it's Easter egg.
So, Jaden always has the facts. What do you got for us
Yes.
this round?
Yes, I actually found some pretty interesting stuff. Now, I don't know exactly how to pronounce this. Moai? I think it's Moai. That's what the native people out there call these heads.
Okay.
Their bodies, if you guys don't know, the Easter Island heads were discovered with bodies in 2017.
With bodies?
Yeah, there's bodies underground. They have bodies.
No, there's bodies attached to the heads.
Yeah.
I feel like I knew that. I thought you were saying that there were like bodies buried underneath it and some like crazy.
No.
Really?
They have bodies, but they're pretty like basic,
They're smaller too, right? Like they don't match the size of the heads. The heads are bigger and then it's like a smaller body. Is that correct?
The tallest one is 33 feet. His name is Pero, like with his body, but their average height is 13 feet. I think you're right, though. I think their heads were kind of larger.
Oversized.
Yeah. Okay. So they are saying that the Rapa Nui are the people who carved them, and they live just west of Chile. Now, I'm not sure where, like how they figured that out, because last I've ever heard of the Easter Island heads, they have no idea who did them, how they got there, blah, blah, blah. But they are claiming that the Rapa Nui are who carved them. They were built at 1100 to 1500 CE. There's over 1,000 of them on the island, although a few have been removed and put into various museums. So where it's located on the little island, it is a volcanic hotspot. And the island was actually formed by volcanic flows consisting of basalt and andesite. So it's not even technically real land there.
Yeah.
That was crazy to me. The primary stone used on the heads is volcanic tuffs.
Volcanic tufts.
Yeah. Just like the ash left over when like the lava dries up pretty much. Yeah, that was interesting to me. That was something that they used. I didn't really think that it would have been rock hard like that. I don't know why. My brain always pictured it to be more of like ashy.
Yeah.
Like if you were to try to chisel it for it to kind of crumble. Apparently not. So on the back of the figures, there are etched petroglyphs. And a lot of them symbolize Polynesian canoes. And it's most likely thought to be the symbol of the carver's family. Because they all have them on the back, but some of them are faded now.
Yeah.
And some of them have more than just a couple. But like I said, as time has gone on, it's kind of worn it out because it was just a small carve in the back, so it's kind of smoothed. They stood it up with the large tree trunks placed in the deep holes, and then they used rope and a large tree trunk to lift the statue up. Now, again, that's all just a guess.
Right. It's all hypothetical.
Yeah. I already said the tallest one is 30 feet. His name is Pero, which I think it's so cute that we're naming them. And studies show that the statues were painted red during burial ceremonies, and usually the burials surrounded the statues. But it's also suggesting that the Rapa Nui buried their dead with the family statue.
Yeah. So then it's almost like a mass grave, like a mass tomb. And that's
Yeah.
how they identify which family's which.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, which is weird because it made me really start looking into the statues closer because every time I look at them, I'm like, they look identical to me. They all look the same to me. And I'm like, so how would you identify? Apparently, they say that their features vary slightly. I couldn't see it when I was looking at them, but they say that they do vary slightly.
They all look the same to me too.
Yeah.
And I forgot about the bodies buried underneath. That just kind of goes to show how long those things have been there. And you have to think when families created those and they were burying their relatives with these statues, the bodies were above ground.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's just
Yeah,
wild. I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around it.
They all have a prominent eyebrow bone, we know this. A long nose, their mouths are small, they have tight ears, and they're elongated. Their ears are slightly elongated, but this website that I was finding this on, which was Forbes, really wanted to make it known that the ears were... Oh, what's that word? The scale was right with the face.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
They fit. It's
They
not
fit
like
the face.
yeah, it's not like a cartoon character. Like where you
Yeah.
go get a caricature done and they make like your forehead or your nose or
Yeah,
your
like
eyes.
really long.
Yeah. They didn't make them caricatures.
Have you ever got one of those?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
I'm honestly kind of scared because I feel like I'd get a very honest artist and they would pick something.
No, Sarah, stop. I got one. This was years ago, right? Because I love caricatures. I used to get one every time I went, and me and Derek get one every time we go now.
Isn't it when you guys go to the fair?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the ones that we've got are really cute, but I've happened to pick the same artist every time, which is really strange. I only noticed that this year because the signature is the same.
Yeah.
But I got one time, and this man, I left it.
You didn't even take it.
I didn't even pay. I left. I looked like a fucking alien baby. And I know that like caricatures are supposed to be funny and everything, but this was one that we had specifically asked, like, oh, can this one be more
Realistic? Yeah.
I want to hang it on the wall.
Yeah.
No, I looked like a fucking alien / witch hybrid.
Were you so offended?
I was.
Did you even say anything to the artist?
No, he was like, are you ready to see it? I was like, oh my God, yeah. Flips it around and I just left. I was like, nope.
Yeah,
Not doing
probably
that
for the best.
today. Not wasting my time.
Yeah, see, I'm too scared because I feel like they would pick something, one of my features that like I didn't know it would be awkward or something.
Yeah.
And they would make it so obtuse.
Oh, have you ever just like walked past a caricature booth though and you like look at the people sitting there and you're like, oh my God, what a cute couple or something.
And
Then
they're-
you look at the drawing
Yeah,
and
and
you're
they're-
like,
Yeah, their caricature is ratchet. Like I'll see
Yeah.
videos of people get them and it's like the guy has a huge ass forehead and then the girl has like lips that are the size of the Titanic.
Mhm.
And you feel so bad. Like I feel bad because I don't want those folks to feel like garbage. So I'm scared.
I just like to know whether it's like a funny one or a serious one because I like the cuter ones because I like to put them on the wall.
The one that you and Derek got last year was really cute where you guys had the bucket hats with the peppers. That was
and
great.
he like drew the faces.
Yeah, they were accurate.
Yeah, it was
I liked
really
that
cute.
one.
Yeah, that one last year and the one we got this year I really like too. But like I said, I picked the same exact artist. And I like vaguely remembered because this dude has a big ass Homer Simpson tattoo on his calf. And it was like bad at like when I saw it last year, it made me chuckle because I was like, haha, Homer. Oh, and then
Yeah.
this year I was looking at it again. I was like, ah, Homer.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute.
Homer?
Why am I getting deja vu looking at Homer? Yeah. Anyway, back to the Moai. Some had eyes made from coral, obsidian, or scoria, and they were removable. And it said, since they were removable, it's suggesting that they were little crystals like the coral or the obsidian were placed in the sockets during ritual ceremonies to invoke the ancestral spirit.
So it's like the ancestors are looking down on you, like they're present, watching you
Yeah,
perform these
that like
rituals.
freaked me out a little bit because I don't know why it made me think of like the movies, like you place the pupils and they light up.
Right? And they start moving around, like
Yeah, like they
looking.
stand up or something.
Everybody's humming in unison. And
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, oh shit. But it was cool. I think I said this in the last episode because we briefed a little bit on the Easter Island heads. I keep wanting to say Easter egg. At peak civilization on the island, there were 15,000 to 20,000 inhabitants, but there's only 5,000 today. And we already mentioned that it's extremely remote, 2,100 miles from Chile. These statues weighed between 9 and 11 tons, but the heaviest one, which I'm assuming is the 33-foot one, weighs 95 tons.
Wow.
Yeah, insane. So big range there. And then, okay, here's that bullet point about how they moved them.
Okay.
Sleds or rollers, possibly large logs, or rope to walk them. And now, when I watched a brief video on what they meant by they walked them, they tied a rope around their forehead and there was people on either side and they were just pulling the rope, so they were rocking it back and forth but like teetering it forward as they were doing that.
Yeah, like how you'd move a big piece of furniture, but not one that's 95 tons.
Wait, how are you moving your furniture? Are you tying
No, not tying a rope, teetering.
like a fridge? Is that how you
Yeah,
move
like
your fridge?
yeah, or a stove, like something that's super heavy, and say you're trying to walk it into a corner. Like, have you ever teetered a big appliance or
Oh,
anything like
okay. I
that?
get what you.
Yeah.
Sarah, when you said that, I actually pictured you like tying rope and you and Shay like swinging this. I was like, I don't think we need to do all of that. Yeah, but yeah, you rock it back and forth. You were just doing it with the stove a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
There are oral accounts from the people of Rapa Nui who said that the Moai were endowed with divine power and walked by themselves, which I like to think that's how they got there.
You know what? Even before you said that, when you got to the bullet point about how they got there, it was like, what if these things had bodies? What if they just walked
Right?
themselves over there?
Right?
Who are we to say that they didn't?
I like picturing if they were all walking around.
Right.
A couple more bullet points. Some were topped with red hats. Once again, I might pronounce this wrong. Pukao? It's Pukao. And they were most likely used to represent a chief or high-ranking citizen. But how the hats were placed on top is unknown because they range from 6 to 10 feet tall. Now, if you look up a picture of this hat that they're referring to, it kind of made me chuckle. It's literally just a red circle. Like a big red circle. It almost looks like a cheese wheel just placed on top of this head.
Like a unwrapped baby bell.
No, Sarah, I'm so serious. That's what it looks like.
That's like a giant cheese wedge.
That's what I'm saying.
Or a bacon wrapped scallop.
That's what I'm saying. It is literally just a red cylinder slapped on top of these heads. But you see like why they are trying to figure out how they got it up there.
Yeah.
If they walked, they probably just put them on themselves.
You know what? Looking at these things too, because I wasn't thinking of something that big as a hat. I was thinking of like just like a slab of red right on top, but those, and to balance those.
Yeah, like the average one of these statues is 13 feet tall, and it said that the hats ranged from 6 to 10 feet. Like it's almost they're almost as big as the
It
statue
honestly looks
itself.
like someone picked it up and put it on top of it and just got it to
Just got into balance.
yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that they topped them with hats. So that's all the facts. So now we can just go off.
I see now a little bit more why it's hypothesized that aliens put them there because you're putting this thing on a remote island. Each of these things weighs, what was it, 35 to 95 tons.
9 to 95.
9 to 95 tons. They have little red hats on that aren't even little. And it's crazy. It's crazy. So I can understand the alien theory, but the other thing too, we can't fully comprehend what people back then were capable of doing. Were they larger? Did they have mythical powers? Were these things alive? And were they up walking around putting their hats on and then all of a sudden they're just there?
I feel like they were whenever they put their pupils in them. Literally, just like the movies, you put the pupils in, their eyes light up. Maybe they stand up, start walking around.
I think too, and we'll get into this when we get into the spiritual realm. I think that back then they had more access to, I don't necessarily want to say magic because then it just sounds too floozy, but I think that they were capable of
I wouldn't
greater
say
things.
I wouldn't say magic. I'd say
Yeah.
divine. Some kind of divine power.
Yeah, maybe they were able to tap into their third eye.
Oh, I think they definitely were.
Yeah. So maybe that's why when we look at these, like when we look at the Easter Island heads, when we look at any other wondrous human created thing that we don't know how the hell it got there or why it's there or even what it was used for, we can't comprehend it because we can't tap into that divine power.
Even like how no one can figure out how they moved them and stuff. And we look at how we would have moved them today, we would have just used cranes.
Yeah.
Like we would have just used some big piece of machinery. And I'm not saying that's the wrong way to do it if we have the ability to use a machine. By all means, work smarter, not harder. But if we were to have something devastating happen to the world and we lost all of our mechanics or whatever, whether it be an apocalypse or something, we don't have these machineries anymore. Are we going to adapt and evolve, or are we all just going to be screaming like, "Oh my God, we can't move this statue"?
Yeah.
You know, like are we
Probably.
going to try, or
I don't think so. And that's like another thing that I was thinking about. Let's say hypothetically that the historians are correct. They moved these multi-ton heads, bodies to the island on logs. That's dedication.
no, it is.
And the fact that they were willing to do stuff like that today, there's no way. I guarantee you right now, if we lost all of our cranes, our construction equipment, everything that makes life easy, and say if Lady Liberty fell, no one's picking that bitch up. I'm sorry. And I love Lady Liberty. No one's going to fix that. It's going to be like the statue of the god Helios when he got cut
my
at the
God, just
knees and
leave
they
her
left
there.
him there for 400 years. Yeah.
They probably would. They'd probably just put a plaque up and be like, "She fell in this year."
Yeah, exactly. But no one's going to take the time to do all that, let alone take that much time. How many statues are there total? Or do they
There's
not know?
over 1,000.
Okay, so for them to do that with over 1,000 statues, and I know they varied in size, but for them to have that amount of dedication for over 1,000 statues, come on.
But think about it too, over 1,000 statues, and there's only 15,000 to 20,000 inhabitants during this time on the island, like estimated. 15,000 people, that's really not a lot of people.
Yeah.
If you look at how many people it took to build the Pyramid of Giza and the other wonders, the numbers that they gave us, 15,000 to 20,000 inhabitants, because that just means the same people too. Like you weren't switching people out 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And it did say that the carvings on the back of the statues, most of them were like a canoe, representing a canoe. And like I said, it means like the carver's family, like representing that carver,
Okay.
whoever carved it. It seemed to be that there was one very prominent person who was carving all of these. If the marking on the back is representing the carver's family, which we aren't certain of that. That is just, once again,
Speculation.
assumption. How many people do you think it would take to move one of these 13 feet, say 11 tons?
You think about it this way, Constantinople stole the statue of Zeus. It was Constantinople, wasn't it?
I think so.
And it took them 900 camels to move that? 900 camels.
No, wait. That was the one. That was the one on the ground. The one that
Oh,
snapped at
wait.
the knees.
The god Helios. The Helios
Yeah,
statue.
yeah,
So
Helios,
it
they
took them
sold.
900 camels to move the statue, which was broken into 2 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
One statue. These people, they didn't have camels.
No, they didn't have camels.
That's what I'm thinking about. I can't give you a number of how many people because I don't know how capable they were to move that kind of stuff.
That's what I mean. And then you think a 33-foot tall one weighed 95 tons. How the fuck are you moving that thing without killing someone? Without crushing half of the population because it slipped?
Okay, so then let me ask you this. We know that there were folks that were living on that island. Do you think that those tribes are the ones that put that there, or do you think it's still the alien theory?
I believe the Rapa Nui probably carved it just because they seem to know, but they don't give up all the facts either. They probably have stories of their ancestors carving this stuff. They probably have the stories that their
Some type of
ancestors have
record.
passed down. Yeah, but there's probably like a reason why they're like, we're not gonna say everything though. Maybe it was a mix of both. Maybe
Could be.
we were living in harmony with the extraterrestrials.
Yeah, or there were giants during that time and they were the ones moving those
I
boulders
thought
and were
about
the ones
that
carving them.
too. I was just thinking about that when I pictured this giant what if these giant statues are also a victim of Medusa?
I thought about that too
Did
when we were
you?
starting. Yeah,
Oh
because
my God.
because when we were talking about statues last episode, you spit that back.
Yeah,
and you were-
Medusa.
Yeah. So I was like, maybe, and if their ears are symmetrical.
Yeah,
you know.
like Forbes was real. They I don't know why they were really emphasizing that to me. They said it in like all capitals and they said it like 3 times throughout the article that the ears match the face. And I was like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
I was like digging deep for like a bigger meaning to that because I was like, what are they trying to tell me? One thing that I disagree with, and we kind of briefed this, I believe it was in last episode, I don't agree with them taking some of these statues to put into museums. I love museums. I love going to museums. I love seeing things. I love seeing artifacts and stuff. But when it comes to stuff like this, especially when we are assuming that it was used for some kind of burial thing, I don't like the idea of removing it from where it was put to put in a museum. If I were to go to a museum and they were to have a replica of one of these, I would be completely fine looking at that. Doesn't make any difference if I saw a volcanic tough rock from Easter Island in this museum or if I'm seeing a replica that they carved of it. Neither one really does much. It would be cool to see the real thing, but if you want to see the real thing that bad, spend the money and go out there and see it.
That just goes back to you being disturbed that people tore the Taj Mahal and it's somebody's tomb.
Yeah, death is not weird to me. I respect everything that comes with death, but I'm really big on people's wishes and stuff when it comes to where they want their body to rest. I'm big on that, and I don't think that we should be messing with it because I think there's a lot of powers that come with where a body is laid to rest once the soul leaves. I think that there is some kind of power behind all that, and I don't think that we need to be fucking with it because we don't even understand it.
If you think about it, if these were used for burial purposes, it would be the equivalent of me going down to the local cemetery and just jacking somebody's headstone
No, literally.
and putting it on display.
Literally.
That's the same thing.
It's like for Halloween, you go down to the local cemetery and you just take headstones and put them in your front yard. And you're just like, it's just for decoration. I'll put them back. And like expecting no one to get mad or disturbed by that.
Yeah. You know what bothers me a lot in society that we do? For you, it's moving tombs. For me, it's zoos. I do not like zoos at all. I don't think we should have them.
I thought you were trying to say Zeus.
No, zoos, like the local
I don't
zoos.
like zoos either.
The tomb stuff and the spirituality stuff bothers you. I'm not saying it doesn't bother me. It does bother me. But when it comes to nature and animals, that to me is something that we don't fuck with.
Right.
And going down to the zoo and seeing a polar bear walk around, being
Stop, I
hot,
cry every
I
time.
can't do it. I can't do it. Seeing other animals like giraffes and elephants and zebras in these pens where, quote unquote, they have enough space to run around, they don't belong in there. They don't live
have
there.
enough space to
And
run
what
around.
bothers me too is people try to justify this shit because they're like, oh, it was born in captivity. It was born in captivity because our dumbasses went and we took them
Right.
out of their original habitat. This thing actually belongs in Africa, but
Right.
we're going to justify it by saying it was born in captivity. Shut the
Well,
fuck
here's the
up.
same thing, and this might be a little controversial to people, but I don't care. Harambe, they should have never killed
Oh.
him. Personally, they should have never killed him. The mom put the kid up on the railing, the kid fell in, and Harambe grabbed the kid and ran, had him by the arm, I think, and ran.
Yeah.
But he wasn't being aggressive towards him. He just ran a little bit, then he was like sitting there with him.
Yeah.
And then they killed Harambe.
He didn't attack the kid or anything?
No, he like grabbed the kid, like there's a video. He grabs the kid's arm and he ran a little bit and then he sat down with him. Like he ran over to see what it was and then pulled him.
Wasn't there also theory that Harambe thought the child was in danger, so he was
and
trying
he tried
to protect
saving
it?
it.
Yeah.
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 They should have never killed. That is that animal's natural instinct.
You know what freaks me the fuck out? Parents are so goddamn negligent. Wasn't it a couple years later that at the Pittsburgh Zoo, that lady
The
set her
hyena.
kid?
I think it was
the hyena
because they
pet.
got rid of the
So,
hyenas.
Yeah, for those that don't recall, this was a while ago. This was probably about 15 years ago. Some lady set her child up on, I think she was trying to take a picture of him or she just set him on the ledge of the hyena pit. And this kid fell in and the hyenas got him.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to blame the fuck out of the hyenas. First of all, we
Like
shouldn't have had those in the first place. That's why we shouldn't have had them. Same thing with Harambe. We shouldn't have had him either.
That's what I mean. We shouldn't be killing these animals because they're doing literally what they would have done. Like you can't punish an animal for doing what it knows.
Do you ever know what they ended up doing with the hyenas? Did they just get rid of them all of
they
them?
said is they just got rid of them.
Yeah, so they killed them.
Probably.
Exactly.
Yeah, they probably killed them and just didn't want to say that. I do remember that. See, I like sanctuaries. I'm all for sanctuaries, and I've like posed this idea before. We don't need all these different species on display, but I'm all for finding an injured animal, putting it into a sanctuary, and if you want to make it into something where like people can come see it, that's cool, but make it with the glass to where they can't see us.
But we can see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mirrored glass.
Yeah. Make it like that
Fair.
so we can see in, but they can't see us. So, we're not really causing stress, but giving it a big enough area to where it literally can run. And then whenever it's healed, release it.
So here's where I'm at. Biblically speaking, the reasons why humans were created was because we were to care for the planet. Not just like the plants and the trees and shit, but we were actually supposed to be the caretakers of the animals. I strongly believe that. I also strongly believe that we're an invasive species. That's an entirely different topic. However, what I believe our original purpose was to care for the animals. So that's why when I see us putting them in cages and glass and in like a 4x4 cubicle size room. And then
cages.
just so that, toddler Timmy can come and take a picture with him once a year. Fuck you, toddler Timmy. Quite honestly, that is not the purpose of animals on this planet. That's not, and our purpose on this planet is not to basically take over everything on the planet and every other species that isn't on quote unquote as great as humanity gets their corner. That's not the purpose. When I see us doing certain things, I can't deal.
Well, no, because if you think we're taking all these animals, and a lot of the times how they get animals into the zoo is they trank them.
Yeah.
And then they plop them into the zoo. Or the videos of the gorillas in the fucking wild when they take the babies away. We are sick. We are a sick fucking species. I don't think I've ever bawled my eyes out as hard as I bawled at that fucking video where they tranked the mother and took the baby.
Yep.
And left the mother there.
Yep.
I'm not going to say that on here, but makes me want to do something.
It's because we
mankind.
believe that we have rights that we actually don't fucking have. We don't have rights to shit.
Right?
And everybody thinks
But
we're
look,
greater than thou.
I'm just saying, if we were to do that to someone, if I were to walk into a Walmart and trank some mother and take the kid, do you know what they would do to me? We can do it.
I love that's your fucking example.
That you have to think. No, that's how you have to view it, because we were built equal with all these other animals. But the thing is that we are the most intelligent, quote unquote,
Yeah.
which I don't think we are, because if you watch some of these species, we just are able to communicate and stuff. And we have fucking opposable thumbs is all we have, really. So we were built equal with these other creatures, and we're supposed to be protecting them pretty much because we have the brain power and the capability to do that. But instead, we're killing them. Which, once again, goes into the mothership theory. Can I just say that we were never from here?
You know what animals can't do? They can't fucking lie. They can't hurt each other's feelings.
I don't know why I was thinking of something with opposable thumbs when you said that.
Were you thinking about a raccoon or something?
I was like probably putting something in a microwave or opening the oven.
Right.
But
No,
yeah,
they can't do that either.
you meant it on a deeper
But they
level.
can't, right. They can't, if you watch the way that animals interact with each other, quite a few of them are very like tribe oriented, right? So
Yeah.
the majority of them are social creatures, some are not. But then you go and you'll see these videos online of predators taking care of prey's babies. Do you remember that? I think it was a crocodile. Wasn't it a crocodile that had a baby deer? Some animal had a baby deer.
Wait, I think I
So there was this baby
vaguely
deer. I
remember
think it was
that.
a crocodile. So this crocodile that was a mother, it had its hatchlings, and somebody found a baby deer in there, but they weren't eating it. They were taking care of it. It might have been a different type of animal,
Yeah.
but it had that mother mindset, that mother mentality. It didn't go after this and say, oh, this is easy prey for me, I'm going to eat it. It's, oh, this is a baby. They understand that. So they understand care and everything like that. And I understand animals can be vicious. They go after each other. We have predators. We have prey. There is rabies. There is some crazy ass shit out there. But when all is right with the world, they have their purposes for doing things.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have purposes for doing things. We now don't have shit. Our purpose right now is putting up another fucking set of condos just for the fuck of it.
Right.
I rest my case.
With that, I'm going to steer us back to the Easter Island heads because
Right?
wow, did we go far. That was wild. I don't even remember how we got in there.
We were talking about moving people's tombs.
Oh, yeah, and you were talking about zoos. Okay. Yeah, I don't like the thought of taking something that we are saying this was representing someone's dead ancestor. They buried it here to protect the island or whatever reason that they had. It doesn't even matter what reason they had. If we know that they used it to represent their dead ancestor and it was essentially a headstone, we have no right to touch it. And also,
Right.
why the fuck would we want to? And we know how the ancient people who lived here before us felt towards death. We know that they had rituals. We know that they believed in certain things. They probably knew more than we did about death and what happens and whatnot. Why are we fucking with the things that they were doing? Why? I feel like that's like a one-way ticket to down below.
Can you imagine the number? Because you talk about there's probably curses linked to moving these statues.
Yeah.
The multiple Egyptian curses that we're aware of.
Yeah.
We still go into the tube. Maybe that's a reason why humanity is fucked up today.
No, because
We've released every curse known to man into the atmosphere.
if you like look at it, it says like some of the tombs, they opened up someone's tomb. Of course, they fucking take the body because why the fuck would we not? They take the body and then they're like, some natural disaster, some big catastrophic natural disaster. It never fails. Usually happens a month or two later, whether it's in that place or it's somewhere else. Is no one looking at that?
Buddy, Do you think that the reason why shit is hitting the fan is because of the number of tombs and things that we've taken? We've unlocked every curse in the book, and that's why things are just crazy today. Like
It could
the
be.
floods, the hurricanes, the global warming,
It
the
probably
wars,
it's probably not helping our case any.
the multiple droughts that have occurred throughout the United States.
I just think it's so wrong that we're going into these people's final resting place and we're taking their shit. And then we're like, okay, now let me go pray because I'm such a good person. No, the fuck you're not. I know it's forgive and forget. No, motherfucker, that's not how that works. Stop taking shit that's not yours.
We don't need the museums anymore.
No, like you seriously have to put it into perspective of like how today's world is. And it's okay, so we can go to this ancient person's tomb, go in there, take all their fucking shit, put it on display in this museum whenever we know specifically that this person said that they never wanted any of that to happen. Let's do it anyway. But then these people that are breaking into these people's houses and taking their belongings and then selling them, let's slap them on the wrist and throw them in jail. And I'm not saying that it's right. I'm posing that it's fucking wrong in every situation.
Yeah.
But the only exception that we're making is that, oh, these people were dead for a couple thousand years, so now it's okay.
I agree with you that I think that, and I'm all for museums. I love museums.
I love museums.
I enjoy going, but I agree with you. I think that we should, if we're going to put on display ancient civilizations, and I think they're worth learning from, and I think they're fascinating. And obviously, if they weren't fascinating, me and Jaden wouldn't be talking about them. But I think, to your point, we should be doing replicas instead of.
Yeah, like
taking-
I would have, and no one would even know if it was a replica. And also, if they do care, don't fucking go. Point blank, period. Just don't fucking go. I hate those people that just bitch because they're like, well, this isn't what I wanted. Then why did you go, bitch?
Right.
Why'd you go?
But no one's going to know the difference.
That's what I mean.
People that are going to museums are just going for the fact because it's fun and they
want to
learn.
read about it.
When people go to museums, I don't think it's because they're like, oh, I want to see the real McCoy. I want to see the real deal.
Right.
The majority of people go because they're just fascinated and they want to learn more and they want their kids to learn more. Think about it. Every single dinosaur bone display is a replica.
Yeah.
None of it's real. None of those bones are real. You think that shit's coming out of the fridge? It's not. It's staying right there.
No, I don't care if I see a replica. I think it's cool to see the replica, but really you go to read about this stuff. You don't go necessarily to look, but also even if you are going to look, who cares if
Right.
it was real or not? It's not like you're getting to take it home and put it up on your fucking shelf or anything. Like you're just looking at it. Who cares if it actually came from Egypt or not?
Right. Right. Final thoughts. Easter Island. I almost said Easter egg.
Easter Egg Island. Final thoughts. I kind of do believe that the Rapa Nui possibly built this, their ancestors, but I think it could have been a mix of both, extraterrestrials and the Rapa Nui. Who knows? I definitely like the idea that they walked themselves across the island, though.
Yes.
I'm going to stick with that thought. So, yeah, I believe it was the Rapa Nui.
I think it was the Rapa Nui too, but again, I'm wondering if there's some third eye stuff that's caught up in there. I think that we're
Definitely.
never going to really be able to figure out how they got those statues there or entirely what they mean. I really love the
Right.
idea of them walking themselves
Me too.
and planting themselves in the ground.
Me too. I just like thinking that their pupils is their power. Plugging in their pupils and they stand up.
We see it in every single movie, so maybe there's some facts behind it.
Guys, right before we end this, next episode is the first episode of season 2.
Thank you guys so much for listening and getting us through this first season. We've enjoyed doing it. Feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to reach out to us on our socials. Thank you again so much for taking the time to listen to us. And we will see you next time. For now, I'm Sarah,
And I'm Jaden.
and this is the Riddles of Reality.